Hi, Krista. Who are you?
My name is Krista Capers, and I am a certified emotion code practitioner. And because of some self-discovery that Rebekah and a wonderful group that she created gave me, last year I became certified, and I had been kind of dabbling in the emotion code for a long time. But within that dabbling, I also lost my shit and had a semi breakdown emotionally. And it consisted of partially in 2019, at the end of 2019, feeling like the world was going to end. Yeah. And then it did, kind of, but not completely. But it kind of did. People were dying and people were stuck at home and uncertainties were all over the place. So, a wonderful little app, TikTok. I spent lots of time, distracting myself on that and found Rebekah. And through that, I decided to schedule a appointment, and she reminded me how to ground and how to find my energy again. And that's how I started to kind of come back to myself. And that whole time I had this little thing in my back pocket that I could actually have healed myself with, but I needed reminding. And then a little while later I was invited to the group, and I didn't really have some of the talents that all the other people did. I don't really have clear abilities. Obviously, I have something because I could see a tidal wave trying to hit the earth in 2019. But I don't have ghost friends. I don't have spirits that are in contact with me. But I had this that I was like, hey, I can provide something to the group. And it kind of grew from there. And I am really honored, and I feel like it's a privilege to help people. I want people to kind of move through life without so much of the things that they think they got over, and they really didn't, because they're still there. The lovely movie Casper, 90s kids. That unfinished business that they talk about, that's real, but it's actually something that we need to deal with here and now in this fleshy form. So that we don't go into the next phase of our existence with anything extra attached. Because we do, these things can last a long time. They can be inherited. They can be given to you by your mother and father, and then their mother and father, and their mother and father, and so on and so on. I think so far the oldest one I found was about 20 generations. 20 generations old. Yeah. Something that was from who knows how many hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So we hold these things in our bodies unknowingly. We think that we have processed things and life happens and we have to move on, and we leave these things behind, and it's like having a craft problem, and then it's like, oh well, I'll finish this tomorrow, and then you never do, and then it's 5 years later and it's like, oh, I don't like this anymore, I'm going to throw it away. But you can't throw away these things. You have to actually find them and process them and honor them and learn from them. That's the point.
Okay, so you covered a lot of things, and I've been making mental notes. So I'm going to try to go in order. One,
okay.
I'm truly still honored that I could be a part of you leaning back into what you do now, because I think about all the good that you've done, like working within our group. And for anybody watching who's like, what's that group? You can find out on Patreon. But you've done so much good, especially when you were getting certified. You had to do a lot of hours of practice with people in order to earn that certification. Mm-hmm. And even from the beginning, I remember people being like, whoa, how have you only just started this? Like, people were seeing results. They were floored by what you were doing. And it's wild. You know, you don't describe yourself having like clear abilities or psychic skills. And I do consider healing is one of those things, whether you use your hands or energy or what have you. Like, it takes a special person to be able to assist someone with healing and to listen to them. And also, you have a lot of intuition. So, like, that's technically claircognizance. I'm just going to call you out on that and be like, dreams are also brilliant.
Yeah, it does come. Yeah, it does come up some whenever I'm releasing things. I do get images sometimes, and I've gotten to actually saying, why did I see a sunflower just like in my face right here? And oh, that was my wedding flower. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. But on the daily, if I'm not tapped into this stuff, I bet I'm not supposed to be, but that's okay. This is my task. This is what I'm supposed to do. I truly feel that, and I think it's kind of like the birth plan or contract or whatever I send whenever I decided to be like, hey, human, this time around. But
it feels so aligned. Like, I love that. And it's so unique. And that's why when I started to expand my team, I was like, hey, would love to have you be either like an affiliate or a collaborator, or I guess whatever we want to call our agreement.
I am currently in the process of getting my next certification. It's called the Body Code, and this goes into imbalances within the body. So if you feel like you have a blockage of some kind, that is a mental block, perhaps, that you cannot move past this or that, that might be a mental imbalance. And you can also have imbalances, of course, with your foods that you're eating, with nutrition. And wait, I'm gonna say that one more time. You can have imbalance with like nutrition or with energy. A lot of people have imbalances involving electromagnetic pulses and cell phones, Wi-Fi, towers everywhere, electrical in our homes, it's everywhere. And it's not something that humans have had to experience ever. Well, so I think. So our bodies are kind of not sure how to deal with that kind of stuff.
You also mentioned the electromagnetic waves out there. And what's interesting, I just thought of something. I remember I've talked to other mediums and shamans specifically about this, about how spirits gravitate towards electromagnetic release. And I thought of a more recent example, which I don't think I've released that on TikTok yet. I haven't made the skit, but there were like 5 ghosts hanging out around this.
I remember. Yes, I remember that. That was whenever you were going to go check about towards the boils, and you were like, oh yeah, and they're all like around a power strip was overloaded, and there was a thing. Maybe that's the one you're talking about, because I remember there was one TikTok that you did.
Yes,
and it was, okay. And they were like around it, like ooh, like it was around a light bulb kind of.
Yeah, like literally like that. Like there were 5 guys around this like plug that was overplugged, and they all just seemed kind of very much like the same concept of everybody being like, oh, and like not, it just kind of fuzzed out and that kind of thing. And you even saying that just now, I was like, what is that doing to a spirit that is within a corporeal form right now?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really interesting thing. I think there can be balance, but with technology moving so quickly right now, I think it's good to kind of keep ourselves intact, like the bodies that have been evolution, like have had the evolution to get us where we are now. And with things moving so quickly, it just, everything that you're saying, I'm just like, it makes sense.
Yeah, it really does. And I'm also a huge weirdo about water now. That's not a new thing, but still it is kind of a new thing, because I've found so many issues with water hydration. People are drinking a ton of water, but they're not absorbing it because it's not alive, because it is full of chemicals, or it is so harshly filtered because of all of the chemicals that there's nothing left. It's actually depleting the body of minerals. And so there's things we can do regarding that, but the cool thing about water is it holds the energy of emotion. And if we are emotion factories that are also water beings, almost all of it, we we are what, like 70% water or something crazy like that.
It's in the
It's a high number. It's
Yeah.
a high number. And so what does that do to our physical body if we are full of negative emotion and we're, it's like codable. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a weirdo about that stuff.
I mean, I think it's something good to consider. We are living in a society that as a whole is so removed from nature, so removed from like
Yes.
natural things.
Mhm.
Like I think about the first time I had spring water from the mountains and you could see the top of the mountain and water just came from it. And yeah, it was living. And, we were told don't save it longer than a few days because, things will start to grow. Though
Mhm.
I tasted it. And when I say it tasted like magic, I felt like I was drinking something sweet.
Mhm.
I couldn't get enough of it. And they were also like, hey, if you're new to drinking this, maybe not drink too much because your body's not prepared for it. So
Oh yeah.
knock it off. But yeah, when having like a true connection with nature, I think it leaves an impact on someone. And what's sad is once again, as a whole, we're so removed from that.
Mhm.
So I guess kind of tying it in, what you do, I
Yes.
believe also helps to connect not only to ourselves, but also to either the conscious collective, other people, because it releases that burden that sometimes we don't even we knew that we had.
Mhm.
So I know from working with you in the past, just to kind of summarize what you've already been talking about, some of this releasing work is emotional from this life, and then sometimes
Mhm.
it might be genetic, so ancestral things that have just
Mhm.
through ancestral memory get passed down, and it can also be past life stuff. So it's like that's the thing. What you do is really so great because you work with people so that you're all on the same page to figure out kind of like together how to release these things. And it's always a choice to release these things. It's not like you're
Mhm.
going in and being like, "Wah," that kind of thing. Which, by the way, for anybody watching this, and if a healer person comes up and they're like, I'm just going to take this off of you.
No. No. No, thank you.
Consent. Consent is a thing. So I love how much consent, for example, is within your process and within the certification that you chose, because that's so important for us to be in charge of what we are keeping versus what we're releasing. And in order to find
Mhm.
that, it's just a matter of knowing.
Everything needs to be asked if it is ready to release. We have to ask permission on so many different levels to not only find these things, but to fully understand them and then release.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, how do you feel about getting started?
we can do it. We
Yeah,
can do it. And on that note, Rebekah, do I have your permission to read you by proxy?
absolutely.
Okay. Am I connected to Rebekah? Okay, I have a nice strong yes. So, what are we going to focus on today? What's our topic?
So it starts with a question because I know you've mentioned with emotion coding, it can help with activation as well, just by releasing things and allowing energy to move. And I know you've worked with releasing past life stuff. So I've come into the awareness as of late that some of my abilities they were, I guess, cut or shed would have been a way to describe it from past lives. And I've already started to get into some of that. And some of the things that I saw from my past lives were pretty awful to watch. So part of the process that I wanted to do with you was, I know how you work and it's very safe and it's not triggering. So I wanted to see what may be out there. I feel like part of my physical eye clairvoyance is out there. If I've ever had clairaudience, like true physical ear clairaudience, likely another life. My soul's been split so many times and now I'm like back together and we're like, what do we do? So there's that. Really? Okay. Me asking myself, I'm like, what's the other one? clairgustance. I'm like, so the ability to psychically taste. Okay, we'll see if that's
I
out there.
have that actually. That's the weird thing. It's like that. The one thing I have is clear gustance, and I'm like, of all the things, of all, it's great.
I mean, you always get to be very connected with whatever you're eating on a spiritual level. But yeah, is that something we could look into as well as this life too? Because I know I'm still unpacking some things from when I was younger, and
Okay.
some of them I remember, some of them I'm wondering if they're locked somewhere because of whatever happened. So I'd like to look into that too.
Okay. I think the way we can word this is, do you have any trapped emotions blocking okay, so we can ask specifically, which Claire ability do you want to focus on? We could, of course, ask Claire abilities, but if you want to focus on one specifically, we can.
Let's start with clairvoyance, or at least physical eye clairvoyance, because I've had that on and off throughout my life. It's starting to reopen. And that was one of the things too that I specifically saw when I was kind of looking into some past life stuff, that it was like, oh, basically, and I'm curious what will come up, but from what I've seen in my past lives as well, it was honored, but in a way that the attention was not welcome. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's start asking some questions and see what we have here. Okay.
Mhm.
And so we're going to ask trapped emotions specifically right now. Okay. Does Rebekah have any trapped emotions causing blocks with physical eye clairvoyance? Okay, I'm getting a weird answer on that actually. Okay. Does Rebekah have any trapped emotions that might be causing blocks involving clairvoyance? Okay, so I'm getting a yes on clairvoyance, but just not physical eye clairvoyance.
I'll go with it.
Okay, let's see what we can find.
That might be dreams as well, now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm still remembering my dreams. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive in on this one. Let's see what we can get. Is this trapped emotion blocking clairvoyance abilities? Is it in column A? Okay. Is it in column B? Okay. Is it in a row that is even? A row that is odd? 1, 3, 5. All right. Is this trapped emotion peeved? Or fear? Dread? Okay, we have a emotion of dread. Dread? Is this trapped emotion common? Okay, so it is a common trapped emotion, so it's from this life. Was Rebekah between the age of 0 and 15? 0 and 10. Age 11. 12. 13. Age 13. Dread.
I got an image.
Okay. Pull that image.
Mm-hmm.
Is the memory Rebekah is holding in her mind currently related to this trapped emotion of dread? I'm getting a nice, strong yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so the beauty of this process is you don't have to give me any detail. You know what it is. And so I'm going to ask now, do we need to know more regarding this trapped emotion? I have a no, so we don't need to know anymore. Is this ready to be released? It is. And before I even got the words out of my mouth, it was like, yes. It started to turn to yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get it out. So now the way we release is we have our little magnet, and we're going to run the magnet down the center of the skull from the bridge of the nose to the base of the skull 3 times. And I say a little mantra. I don't know if I did that before, but I say my little mantra as we release. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Let me get
Go ahead.
my probably obsidian.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm using the big one on this one. I got this from Lauren.
Oh my gosh.
We're going hard. Like
Nice.
It's a scrying mirror, but like it's obsidian, so it works.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that works. Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for this process. Thank you for this healing. Thank you for this release.
Okay. That was a really yeah. That
was
was
a lift for me. How was it for you?
yeah. So I'll mention this just because I don't mind talking about it. When I was 13, that's when my parents split, and my dad was very much into some things that were not great. And one of the things that I saw with my physical eyes was a being standing behind him, and it was very scary for me. And that was the being that my dad would talk about, like being around the house and like, oh, I think we have a ghost, and it like really scared me at the time. And it was just up to no good. It was utilizing a bad situation. And looking back, like I know what it is now, though at the time I had no idea. And it was scary because it was affecting what dad was saying in a not awesome way. There was a lot with that memory. So yeah, I feel a lot better regarding that. It's like instead of there being questions around the situation, it's just sort of like that happened. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Woo. Okay. Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, that I'm good.
Take deep breaths. I always recommend water because it kind of moves the energy around, it moves it out. Mm-hmm. But the great thing about this process is it doesn't do anything to the memory. Memory is still there. And in some cases, you actually will remember it clearer afterwards. And it's like being able to look at it through a window instead of being in the room, and removing the sting from the situation. So you don't have to go back and feel triggered anymore. You go back and you can just kind of watch it from afar, if you will.
Yeah. The way that I kind of see it in my mind's eye now, which is helpful for me personally, it's like instead of being in the first person narrative, I'm standing behind myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I needed, because at the time I needed to not feel I was alone. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes. The unintentional kind of way this happens sometimes is whenever we release these things, we're releasing it through the eyes of who we are now. And so we completely unintentionally go back and we are like going up to bat for our past self. And so it is kind of like, as you have said, oh no, what did you say? You called it, what did you say?
Emotional time travel?
Yes, thank you. It's emotional time travel, yes. And it's kind of something that everybody does with this, whether they realize it or not. So it's just kind of a cool little bit. But of course, there are the cases that you don't remember the specific event, and that's okay too. That's completely all right.
One down. Thank you.
Yeah,
that was great. If you want to give yourself a plug, how people find you and
oh yeah,
how that works.
Well, I'm really glad that you feel the way you do at the end of our little adventure here. A lot of people do experience this. I need to take a nap, but I also feel so energized, and it's like I can experience the world in a whole new way. But I need a nap at the same time. So first, I'll be right back. I gotta go nap. But yes, everybody can find me actually on Rebekah's practitioners list, and just go to her website and or go into that area that you always go to and that you can't talk about on TikTok. You know where to find the information for Rebekah's practitioners, right? I'm on that list. If you have any questions, reach out to me on social media, preferably, or email.
Yeah, I'll wrap up the recording, but before I do, just thank you so much again. Like, this is such a cool thing, and I said this at the beginning too, but I love how involved it is. Like, it's not just you doing the work, it's not just you doing the polls. This is for people who are looking to be a part of the process of their own healing, so that, you know, they can acknowledge that and work as they can in the future, you know, even if it's just doing a basic release on like, whoa, I had a really stressful day. I want to be sure I don't keep that, like keep the lessons, not the stress. And, you know, learning these kinds of tools and understanding what they feel like, just being involved, I think is so very important that people understand that they play a part in that too. It's not just the practitioner, it is them too. And I love how all this works, and I love your energy, and you're just so great.
Thanks.